Show 5, Wildcats. Thank you. Okay, so one of the themes in what we're going to be reading today is about feeling out of place. So to kind of get our thoughts going about this topic, I'd like to talk with you to talk with your partner shortly about times you felt out of place in a new city or in a new place. So go ahead and turn and talk real quick. Give you 2 minutes.
I, as an adult, absolutely agree with you. I adore that feeling. As an 11-year-old, it was a traumatic experience. No, we moved when my parents separated. We moved, and I started middle school in a new middle school, and it was the most miserable.
Oh, any middle school, but a new middle school.
Yes.
After separation.
Yes. But
So
I don't know what age you have to reach. What do you think has to happen in your mind or heart or maturity level that you would change to become someone who loves that feeling?
I think it's as soon as you start to think about cutting ties to your family and striking out on your own.
10 seconds.
It's like a dry run. You're going to go to a place. It's like you're starting to take close to the first short flights out of the nest.
You don't need anybody anymore. You don't need anybody. You have yourself, and you're gone to that new place or whatever it is. You're bringing yourself to bear, and it's going to be good.
Yeah, you can navigate it, whatever it is.
Yeah? Okay.
All right, let's wrap that up. Thank you. Okay, let's talk about just straight adjectives, feelings. What did you guys describe as the feelings that you had being an outsider?
Disoriented.
Disoriented. Awesome.
Insecure.
Insecure.
Anxious.
Anxious. So disoriented, insecure, anxious.
Loss of identity.
Okay. Anything else?
Isolated.
Exhilarated.
Okay, excited, exhilarated. I'm not sure how to spell that.
Doesn't help you. Yeah, we're going to help you make it
Excited. Okay, great. All right, so now we're putting ourselves in the mind of the character that we're going to be reading about and imagining how he feels out of place. The story that we're going to talk about is Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian, and the story is kind of loosely based on the story of the writer, his own life. So one thing that you need to know about the writer is that he started attending a reservation school on a reservation in Washington State, and then he transferred to a public school where there was a lower number of people of color at his school. It was predominantly white. Okay, so the learning target is going to be, I can identify and analyze the conflicts that Native Americans encounter in white schools in both a fiction and a nonfiction reading. So if you look at your packet, what you have here is a KWL chart that's going to bookmark the different sections of our lesson today. And then there's some background information about the text and also the writer. Some key questions to focus on, those are like essential questions. Some excerpts from 2 of the chapters in the middle of the book, the fiction book. And then on the second page, there's a true story from a student who has had this experience, where he was at a reservation school and then he went to a different kind of school. So we'll get a sense from both a fiction and a nonfiction perspective. Okay, so what I'd like you guys to do is to go ahead and read the background section, which is the first section. Go ahead and read the first page until the end of background. So until the line that ends support of his parents, right above summary of readings. So go ahead and go through that.
Right here, background.
So the second page, Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. I'd like you to go ahead and read through this page until the next page, until support of his parents here.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That was helpful. Okay.
When you're finished, just look up at me so I know that you're done. Okay. Looks like most folks are done. From the first page, we have a little bit of background information on what this story is about. We know who the main character is and kind of his personality. Who's the main character and how would you describe him? Or how does the text describe him?
He's geeky with a big head.
He's got a big head.
Yeah.
He's geeky. Where does he live?
Somewhere in Washington, right?
In Washington. Spokane Reservation, Native American Reservation. What's a reservation?
It's a place where the American government created a treaty with the Native Americans for them to live officially.
Okay. So that's going to be one of our vocabulary words for this unit, is to make sure we understand what a reservation is. So that's a place where Native Americans live with their tribe that the government has partitioned for that use. Okay. So our learning target for this unit is I can identify and analyze the conflicts that Native Americans encounter in white schools in both a fiction and a nonfiction reading. So what do identify and analyze mean?
Identify is like find.
Okay, what about analyze? Betsy, what do you think? Analyze.
Analyze means to really try to interpret in order to come up with some idea of meaning about.
Okay, so find instances of the conflicts and then look at how those conflicts play out, basically, is what we said. Okay, so we have background information about the author and also about the book, Absolutely True Diary. So now there's two readings. I mentioned there's excerpt 1 and excerpt 2. Excerpt 1 is fiction, excerpt 2 is nonfiction. Go ahead and take a look at the summary of the readings and the key questions. That will help you to focus on what's important in the excerpt. Go ahead and look up here when you're done. All right, so today we're going to use a KWL chart. Before we get into the reading, I want you to keep especially question 1 in mind. What obstacles do young people face when they move from one culture to another? That's question 1 here. Okay. So go ahead and turn to the first page, KWL. Before we get started reading, I want you guys to think about what you know about reservations. Some of you may not know much about reservations, or some of what you know may be from not a very credible source. It's possible. So go ahead and write down what you know about reservations. If you don't know anything about reservations, write about the feeling of being an outsider and how that discussion played out for you. What do you imagine it feeling like to be an outsider? Okay, that should be good for just getting some notes down. This is to help you kind of activate your prior knowledge or think about your prior knowledge related to this topic or this environment. This is a context that's very different from most of our daily lives, so it's helpful to try and imagine what reservation life is like. And also our preconceived ideas, because we may have some kind of stereotypes or preconceived ideas that don't reflect reality too. Okay, so we have our knowledge of what we already know. We're going to read excerpt 1, which is just these two sections from chapters 17 and 18 on your handout. And then we're going to think of some questions that we want to ask about the reading. What are we curious about this theme or this topic after we've read excerpt 1? So go ahead and read 17 and 18 and then fill out the want to know questions. So I want you to write 2 questions, things that you're curious about or wonder about based on the text. Okay, so Marjorie, can you restate the directions for the next section? What are you supposed to do?
Yes, we're supposed to read the excerpts from chapter 17 and chapter 18 for Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're supposed to note on our KWL chart 2 questions, 2 things that we want to know.
Great.
So
Perfect.
2 items in the W column.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, go ahead and get started on that. I'll give you about 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, go ahead and skip to the questions if you can. We just have a few minutes, 1 or 2 minutes left. Okay. I'd like you to turn to the last page. And in this